A big change has happened in the study abroad equation for US and nobody is talking about it. We keep talking about Trump's attack on students, H1B policies, bad job market, etc. But let's say even if you make it to a good university there, even if you get a H1B and you start working in it, studying and then living in US equation has changed and it's not giving you as good a ROI as it did 5 years ago. Why is that? What's going on? And how does it impact you? That's what I want to talk about today. So I'll share some real numbers on the other side of this intro. Keep watching. देखो हम यूएस क्यों जाते थे ऑफ कोर्स अच्छी एजुकेशन है इंडियंस हैं बहुत सारे ओवरऑल इट्स अ फ्रेंडली इंग्लिश स्पीकिंग कंट्री विद great professors and of course good job market career opportunities at least till some years ago, right? We went there mainly because of the insane salaries. I mean, where else in the world could you go from earning 3 lakh per annum salary in India to suddenly 85 lakh per annum, that is what 100,000 US dollar annual salary would be in just 2 years, right? So that kind of career jump was not possible in any other country. And that is why a lot of ambitious Indians ended up going to US. But that is the math that is changing in 2025, in 2026. That reality is eroding. So some news are developing, some circumstances are happening such that that ROI is not looking as attractive anymore. Does this mean that you should not consider US at all? I will talk about it in the end of this video, but let me first talk about what are these developments happening which are eroding the ROI value of US education. Please go through it, and especially if you're planning or heading to US, you should know how it will impact your savings. Let's start with the first point. So let's start with the biggest story, which is the new OPT tax proposal. So up until now, all international students who are on OPT, which is the study work permit in the US, you have to pay only the federal and state taxes. You don't have to pay something known as social security tax and Medicare tax. Social security tax is around 6.2 and Medicare tax is around 1.45. There it comes to 7.65%. It's known as FICA taxes. This means you're saving this tax, your take home salary is higher. In fact, some people used to delay their H1B lottery just for this reason that on OPT they were saving this tax. However, a new immigration bill is being proposed in the Congress, which proposes that even students on OPT will have to pay for this tax. And this is a part of the broader Dignity Act of 2025, which would increase the tax liability on students. Now, if this happens, you will have to pay this 7.65% tax extra. Think of it like this: if your salary is $100,000, then you are paying extra $7,650 on taxes. That's a decent amount, right? Which means, especially for somebody who's repaying education loans of around 40 to 65 lakhs, this can seem like a decent hit. And obviously, your take home savings would be lower because of this. Then the next point that impacts you is that overall tech hiring is slower and much more competitive. Now, there is layoff data from layoffs.fyi and other employment trackers that shows that firstly a lot of hiring happened between 2020 to 2022 when the fuel to the AI boom was happening. But since 2022, big tech companies have cut down over 300,000 jobs, that is 3 lakh jobs have been cut down during this period. So companies like Meta, Google and Amazon have become much more selective in 2025. They're hiring in specific sectors like ML, cloud infrastructure, cyber security, etc. But the general software engineering kind of generalist role hiring or data roles are fewer than what they were before. This does not mean US job market is bad. It just means that those easy big salary jumps that we were seeing a decade ago or 5 years ago, that is not happening very easily now. And here's another reason why wealth building is getting tougher, because real expenses are way up. So according to US Bureau of Labor Statistics, the actual average weekly earnings for full-time workers, if you see the increase between 2021 to 2025, has only been 1 to 2% once you adjust for inflation. So yes, the nominal salaries might be rising, but if you adjust for that inflation, that growth is only 1 to 2%. Now let's look at your day-to-day expenses. So we can see that housing and utilities are up nearly 20% since 2021. Median rent across US now exceeds $2,000 per month. And if you're living in San Francisco or Seattle kind of places, you are paying $3,500 to $4,000 per month kind of rent, which is quite high. This means that yes, a software engineer might be earning that 120 to 140K salary, but you are also facing much higher rent, much higher healthcare, and insurance kind of costs. So there was a survey by Pew Research Surveys, and they noted that in 2024, around 30% of the tech workers said, so this study was done for people up to 35 years of age, and they said that they are struggling to save meaningfully after housing and tax expenses. So if you're 35-year-old and if you're still not able to save that much, then that does pose a question mark, right? So yeah, you are earning more on paper, salaries look good, but you are also spending much more than what previous generations did, which means the saving is way less than what it was supposed to be. The gap is widening. Then another contributing factor is the pause in funding. So one reason why studying in US was so damn attractive was that you could technically study for free, like I did, like many of our clients did. And the reason for that was because we could get assistantships in US. So most of the Indian engineers who went to these STEM kind of programs, the master's program, they could manage some sort of TA or RA ships, and they were great because firstly they waived your tuition fee fully, so you didn't have to pay any tuition, and then you were earning hourly stipend for the work you were doing, and that stipend was good enough that it more than covered your living expenses. So technically you ended up saving some money while studying. So the only thing you were paying for your masters was actually the opportunity cost, which if you're going for masters at the age of 24 is not that much, to be honest, right? So studying in US became so attractive because you could earn these insane salaries, and if you're not spending anything or spending very little on your education there, then it became a very very attractive proposition. But now, because Trump has put certain restriction on the federal grants, and this means that lower NSF funding, lower NIH funding, which goes to these universities, which goes to these professors, then they pay them to the graduate students through TA ships, RA ships, etc. All that has been cut down, not fully, but to a large extent, which means lower positions are available. So less number of assistantships are available. And even when they are available, as I covered in this previous video of the real picture of 2025, then students are saying that universities are not offering 100% tuition waiver now. They are giving maybe 50% tuition waiver only. Of course, the tuition fee itself is rising. And then because of these lower chances of getting the funding, you are going to be paying more towards your education than what I did. Now, next point is interesting. So US is undergoing something known as a K-shaped economy curve. And let me use my daughter's a toy card to explain this. So this is the K letter, and as you can see, the top arm and the bottom arm, they start diverging at some points, and this represents the gap in the wealth. So, Federal Reserve stats confirm that top 10% of the US households, they now hold about 70% of the US national wealth, whereas the bottom 50% of the population is holding less than 3% of the wealth. And this gap is only widening. Now, interesting repercussion of this is that whoever is sitting at this end, right, is enjoying the economy because their assets are giving increasing dividends, they are earning more, and they are becoming wealthier. But somebody who is here and then they are now going in a down spiral because inflation is eating up in their savings to the extent that they are even thinking twice before eating out. They can't even afford that $10, $12 burrito anymore, whereas the people living here would spend easily on a $250 Apple gadget without thinking twice. So this is what is going on in US, and interestingly, this boundary where these arms start to diverge is around, let's say, $120,000 annual salary. Now, I'm not explaining it fully flawlessly in economic terms, but just for you to understand that if you are above this salary threshold, then you're in a decently comfortable position, your assets can start earning more and more, etc. But if your salary is just here or lower than that, then you are struggling with inflation. This is a interesting repercussion for Indian students if you're applying to US And if you're going for programs where you are not expecting average salaries more than $120,000 after your program, then honestly, the math might not make sense for you, right? The ROI of this education would be questionable. So please do look at what your target programs are. What kind of salaries are you expecting, and does it make sense for you to invest in this education right now? And last point is about taxes on the high earners. Let's say you are one of those lucky ones who are able to get that high end of the salary. Congratulations, but now you will get taxed more as well. So many states, especially California and New York, where you typically see salaries like this, will start taxing you more once your personal salary start crossing a certain amount. For example, California's top bracket remains over 13%, and New York's combined state and city tax rate touches 14 to 15% for high earners. So $150,000 salary in these states will yield significantly less take home pay as compared to Texas or Washington, where they don't have personal state income tax. So while the salaries are strong and you might gravitate towards these states because opportunities and salaries are higher, you will also be taxed higher. In net, it might not benefit you. All right, so those were some tangible reasons which show that it would make building wealth in US tougher and tougher for us going forward. So here are two tangible takeaways for me. First is, don't just chase base salaries, do overall tax calculation, see how much take home savings you are making from this before, like, going for certain careers and jobs. And secondly, choose a degree programs that are tied to real growth sectors, be it AI infrastructure, be it cybersecurity, data engineering, analytics, etc. Whatever it is, you need to have a tab on the ROI. You can't just go blindly to the US and think that it's a get quick rich scheme anymore. It's not. So while H1B Indians will continue to lead a comfortable life in the US, they might not be able to build that sort of generational wealth that people did back in 2000s or 2010s, right? So this was my takeaway on how financial equation is changing about studying in US. Tell me what you guys think about it. This is not to scare you. This is just to keep you more prepared about what's coming. And by the way, this video just focuses on US, but the financial reality is changing all around the world, even in other countries and even in India. But I'm just talking about US today. All right, what else do you want me to cover? Tell me in the comments below. I will see you guys next week with a fresh new video. Until then, take care. Bye-bye.